call that style, and there's going to be more style and more ways to organize your program when we get to purely text-based languages. In GameLab, we have that option, but since I assume you are beginning to, you have uh, no prior background in coding, so we're going to stay inside this block format. But if you're interested, you can click Show Text, and if you prefer, you can drag over a block and it'll turn the text for you, so you don't have to type all of it. Notice though the placement of the block isn't the best, so that's why I prefer this mode, at least to start, because it's much easier to like work around and manipulate. As a review from yesterday, we went over the Show Grid button. It shows you coordinates. We noticed this was the X coordinate, this was the Y coordinate down here. Notice that Y grows positively downwards, which is different than math class. The other two numbers here affect size. This one affects how wide it is, like along the x-axis. This one's like the height. It affects how long or skinny the shape is. So I change it to 250, I reset, and it grows slightly taller, right? And at this point, I hope you've experimented with some of those other blocks as stated in the assignment prompt, which has a lot of helpful hints, and I'll pull that up right now. Like over here, it tells you should use some of these functions, also known as blocks: ellipse, no-fill, stroke, and stroke weights. I hope you're playing around with this. Stroke, if we drag that over there, blue, and I reset and I run, notice the outline of the shape turns blue. It's very subtle at first, but it is in fact blue. And we notice that if you have it like afterwards and you reset and run, the outline is not blue. I bring up that paintbrush analogy in detail this time around. When you are inside your draw function, for now all your code lives inside the draw function, imagine the paintbrush. The computer has a paintbrush, it dips it into the blue paint, and then that's what stroke means. And then it draws an ellipse according to these coordinates. It centers it at 200, 200, right about here. Then it goes around 50 wide, 250 tall, as stated. And that's all it does. Now imagine you had it afterwards. The computer has a default paintbrush color of black. So then it goes to 200, 200, like my mouse is demonstrating. It draws something 50 wide and 250 tall. And then it dips its paintbrush into the blue paint. All right? That's why you don't see the color. You're noticing, hopefully, that order really matters. The lines of code are read from the beginning over here, the top going down. Okay? That's one of the observations you should have from the Olympic Rings assignment. No fill is a great block. If we have it at the bottom, again with the paintbrush analogy, you're telling the computer, okay, don't fill in your shapes. Don't color within the lines, otherwise, as it's known. So at the bottom, notice it's still filled in gray. But again, we experiment with this behavior. You drag just the no-fill block, try it in different places, let's see. Still nothing. Maybe if you drag it way up here, we run and we see that the outline is no longer filled in. You just have the shape. It's kind of hard to see on the projector, so I'll introduce a stroke weight related to stroke, which controls this color. Stroke weight, building on that paintbrush analogy, is how hard you press and how thick those lines are. So if I set it to 3, you'll notice it got way thicker. If I set it to like 100, I don't know if it can handle that. Yes, it can. My line is so thick that it looks like just a thumbprint of sorts. So please continue experimenting with these things and keep modifying it till you see fit. And the new block I want to introduce to you is this comment block. This is the programming style idea to help you get organized, because knowing that stroke weight, no fill, and ellipse all affect this one, and now it's going to be a blue one. You can drag this block over, and comments aren't recognized by the computer. It's for you to organize your code. So here, a good comment will be, this is the blue ring. And maybe down here, I'm going to have a yellow ring, because that's part of the Olympic Rings assignment. Yellow ring below. And that's all the code that's going to go with the yellow one. I'm sure after a while, once you have more and more blocks, things are getting complicated. Comments are a good way to organize and annotate your code. Fun fact, in industry, you need comments because in an industry you work in larger teams, and it may make sense to you, but the comments help like another person make sense of your code. Your audience right now is primarily you and me, But as beginners, this right now, think about these comments as annotating so that a month from now you can make sense of your code. And you can have any amount of comment blocks you like, add those in, and that's your like new piece of information to help you organize your programs to achieve the Olympic rings. In your later assignment, national flag, some of them are very complicated, many moving parts. Comments will be especially useful to help you get those pieces where you want them to be, okay? That's all the new stuff I have to tell you for today. I try to chunk it in little bits and pieces, and I'll talk with you again tomorrow. The time is yours to code away.